The title really stems from something that is so pervasive, whether you're in a healing profession, on a physical level, whether you are in a spiritual role, whatever it is, we all so frequently hear people or hear our own selves saying things like, I would be great if only, or if I just had this, or if this problem would go away, then everything would be perfect. And for me, it's actually illustrated really beautifully with my favorite joke that I always love to share, which is of the man who goes to the doctor and he says to the doctor, there's something really wrong with me. My whole body hurts. When I touch my knees, they hurt. I touch my head, it hurts. I touch my back, it hurts. And so the doctor runs every test and every scan. And at the end, he calls the man in and says, well, the good news is there's nothing wrong with your knees or your head or your back. The bad news is your finger's broken. And since your finger's broken, whatever you touch, it hurts. And the reason that I love that joke so much, and for me it's really the foundation of this session, is that's how so many of us live. We blame things in the outside world. Like the man thought the problem was his knees or his head or his back. We blame whether it's our genes, my parents gave this to me, whether it's something in our physical situation that we're struggling with, a health challenge, whether it's our in-laws, whether it's our spouses or lack of spouses, or children or lack of children, or how far we live from our jobs and so how much we have to commute. Whatever it is, that always gets the blame for why we are not happy. It's always a matter of one thing between me and happiness. And this time together is really about how can we live from a place of self with an awareness that my inner state, my happiness, my wholeness is not dependent on things in the outer world. And my beloved friend doesn't even begin to encompass how I feel about Bruce. Let's just call him my beloved. We'll call that a noun instead of an adjective. Speaks about this from a scientific perspective so beautifully in terms of the role of the environment, whether the environment is our bloodstream, whether the environment is our own thoughts, on literally our physical existence, on everything down to the cellular level of which genes are being expressed or not expressed. So he's really taken this spiritual teaching that the sages and the saints and the rishis of every tradition have told us for thousands of years, which is you create your reality. Your thoughts create your reality. And Bruce has brought that down to the scientific and cellular level for those of us in the world, of which there are so many and such a large percentage, for whom if it's scientific, it's real. And so he's brought that level of reality to the power of the self. And so we thought it would just be such a wonderful opportunity to have this conversation on it today.
Thank you so much, dearest. Thank you so much. I so appreciate my dear friend, because I came from a world of science. I had no background in spirituality, no background in any of the programming and information that you all have received. So I was like completely unaware of the spiritual realm as a scientist. As a scientist, in fact, you don't even mention the word spirit in a laboratory anywhere. You don't even mention the word mind in the laboratory anywhere. So I was completely unaware of this, but I have to say that once I saw a connection between the invisible realm and the physical realm, it profoundly changed my entire life. And the significance is I started to follow through on what I learned, and I'm very proud to say that my teachers were cells. I studied the cells, and when you study them long enough, they tell you things. And I started to realize the nature that they were telling me. And it's interesting because on a scientific background, I can talk about all the spiritual things after learning from my dear friend, but on a scientific background, something happened in 1925 that changed the world in a sense of awareness, but didn't change the world in activities and functions and processes. Our awareness changed, but we haven't really brought it into the world. They say, well, what happened? And in 1925, physicists said that our vision of a universe split into an invisible energy realm and a material physical realm was a total illusion. That everything is energy. The whole thing, there is no matter in this world. And to summarize what the meaning was, a famous physicist in 1930 by the name of Sir James Jeans said, "We have been led to believe that the universe is a great machine, when in fact it is more a great thought." And the reality about that was quantum physicists have established since 1925 that consciousness is the primary mechanism of creativity of the world that we experience. In fact, a more recent article in the journal Nature, which is like a scientific mainstream journal, was an article by a quantum physicist at Johns Hopkins University by the name of Richard Conn Henry. And his article was entitled "The Mental Universe." I know the last two lines in the article because they were like so powerful. And here's what the conclusion of the article was. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. And this is so exciting because science is coming out saying it mental and spiritual. It's like, oh my God. But that's the quantum physics part. And the reality about it, why is that so important, as Sadhvi had just mentioned, it's our thoughts that are manifesting this world. Now you could say that's a spiritual thing, and now I say not only is it spiritual, now it is fundamental basic science of the universe. And it says then the thoughts are creative. Well, if the thoughts are creative, then who is having the thought? And you start to realize, I'm having the thought. Well, then the truth is simple, as Richard Conn Henry said, you are creating this world with your mental activity and your spirituality combined. And then all of a sudden it says, well, then if I'm creating the world, then my original belief that when things didn't go right, I was a victim. The universe wasn't supporting me. You know, it's like, oh, I try so hard and the universe is not giving me things. It turns 180 degrees around. And it basically says this, we are creating this world. And then I say, your mind is creating this world. And then I give you the science that says there are two minds that are operating at the same time. One is called the conscious mind, and one is called the subconscious mind. I say, what's the difference? The conscious mind is where you are as a spirit, an entity, a unique identity. You are in that conscious mind and perceiving the world. I say, what about the subconscious mind? It's not a creative mind. The subconscious mind is habits, things that you've learned and you experienced in your life, and they become habits. So the subconscious mind is not thinking and creating. The subconscious mind, push the button, play the behavior. So here's the point. When we are in our conscious mind, we are connecting our spirituality to the biology and the physical planet that we're in. And that is the creative mind. That's the one you wake up in the morning and say, oh, I wish I had this, and I desire that, and these are the things I want. And then you go out and start the day, and then guess what? 95% of the day, You are not operating from the conscious mind. Science has recognized 95% of the day, because we are thinking 95% of the day, our behavior is now controlled by the subconscious mind. I go, okay, so what's the difference? And the final conclusion of this is the conscious mind with your creativity has your wishes and your desires. The subconscious mind was programmed by other people, your mother, your father, your siblings, and your community. So what is the difference? You wake up with a wish and a desire of what you want, and then the rest of the day, you play the programs that you got from other people that don't answer your wishes and don't support your desires, and all you see is the consequence of it and go, oh my God, why is it not working? And the answer is because you don't see, because remember, the name is subconscious, below conscious. So when that behavior is playing, psychologists will tell us 70% or more of the programs in the subconscious are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting behaviors. So the simple reality is this: we have great wishes and desires, and yet our life is not controlled by that. Our life is controlled by the programming, and that programming is the disempowering program. So all you see is the consequence of the invisible subconscious, which will sabotage all the desires and wishes you have. And then to conclude that, what if you just didn't default to the subconscious? What if you just stayed in the conscious mind? That's called being mindful. And why is it relevant? Because when you stay conscious, keep your mind present, you are the creator of your life. And when people are in mindfulness, they manifest their wishes, their desires, and their happiness. So for all of us, it's sort of a wake-up call. You think you're running your life with your wishes and desires? It's an illusion. You're really running your life with your programs acquired from other people.